Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coming Into Being. And just typing in my little message here in the box. Today we have a special edition of Coming Into Being. We will be doing a silent meditation together. And last week I announced that it was going to be offline, but today we're going to do online. And then we'll follow that up with uh, Q&A, whatever shows up. So I'm just gonna type in here little message just to get everybody squared away here. Hello, Anna. Hola, chica. Oye, ¿cómo va? Hello, Diana. Anna, do you know that song by Santana? Oye, ¿cómo va? I don't sing very well, but hello, Sophia. So first we will start with a silent meditation. I'm waiting a little bit. Hilaria, hey, Hilaria. Waiting for the crew to sign in here. And Michelle, back from the cold, but I think you were last week. Yes, this sounds good. Yes. You know, it's we don't give ourselves that time enough to just go into that place of stillness and silence. So that's what we're going to do today. Let's see, how do I look? That's better. Straighten myself out here so I look good for the crowd, right? And we'll get started in a couple minutes. So, yeah, you know, it's interesting how we really work. Our spirits work best, and actually, forget the best. Work in the flow. But yeah, you could say work best in the flow. Hi there, sleeping through some body aches and chills and woke up exactly on time for this. Yay, perfect. Your spirit has got your back, and that's an example of that. And so we plan out one thing, but we really have to learn to go in the flow, because last week it was like, okay, this is, and before that was just kind of the sense I had was just kind of doing silent meditation, going offline. And even though I'm doing it, people doing it on their own. And then it's like, yeah, hosts look good, Marianne. Well, good. I'm glad you think so, because I don't. You know, it's like always your hair that looks like crap and everybody else's hair looks great. But anyways, um, uh, and then it just, I think it was Monday, it popped in. It's like, no, we're going to do it live. But we're just all going to do it together, and I won't lead you as much today, and just holding that deep space for you to also go in deep for yourself. So, and then afterwards, I'd like to hear your experience. You know, it's, I mean, it's, I think it is really great to give ourselves that experience also when we do the offline and then come back and do the silent meditation. So we're kind of halfway there with this, and uh, I, I, yeah, I really do like to hear your experiences, because we all learn from something. So it doesn't matter how advanced we are with what we're doing. It's like when we come together, we all learn from each other, because everybody's got a different point of view. I mean, some people have a larger point of view, so that it incorporates many points of view, but it's still not the totality. Why my brain don't work well. I keep forgetting stuff like the Monday meditation. Oh, well, how about giving yourself an alarm? You know, that's especially when it's something like the Monday thing. Um, there's like a little resistance there for doing it. So it's not necessarily that your brain doesn't work, but it's like, what's that filter that's there that's preventing you from remembering? And there is a little bit of like going on there for you. So let's check back into that after a meditation. And you know, with meditation, so going into that deeper silent place for ourselves. Uh, you could try this, Anna, and anybody else who feels the need to, is like, I'd like to have a better understanding of this. I'd like to have some clarity around this. And just before give you a couple minutes before we start to just do that, and then just put it aside, let it go, get the mind to let go of it. And then we'll jump into the meditation, and we'll see what comes up, see what at the end. So we'll come back to that at the end. So if whoever wants to try that little process out, go ahead and take a minute right now. And just kind of put it as a kind of like, I wonder, blah, 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 fill in the blank, or how can I, or what is, as a question, like a question to your spirit, to your spirit, to pure source, to that higher guidance, higher wisdom to come through. So let's just give everybody a minute to come up with something. Whoever wants to do that, and I feel like everybody's gonna be doing that, so that's good. That's good. Um, and just make a mental note of what that is. Uh, Mental note, I mean, you can write it down if you want, but so let's just take a deep breath, hold it at the top, hold it, hold it, hold it, and then slowly release it. See how slowly you can release that breath. And allowing yourself, so that your breath is going to just come in back naturally, and allowing yourself to go in more into deeper relaxation with each exhale. So with each exhale, just allow yourself to just kind of visualize or imagine that you're just releasing that stress and releasing it out of the muscles. With a couple breaths, you can do areas of your body if you want, just feeling them relax. All the way down to your toes. And now just kind of allowing your nervous system to relax, and you can also go through different areas of the body. I would start with the head and work down. But you could also do it backwards, start with the tips of the nerves and move back towards and end up at the brain. It'd be interesting to do it both ways to see how that feels different. There's a lot to be said to try things around, to try different ways of doing things. You learn a lot. You learn a lot. You learn why and how each are good and how they don't serve, where they don't serve, kind of thing. People go and learn how to do energy healing and frequency work, Reiki, whatever. And I'm talking about those because that's my area of specialty. But all they do is just, okay, do the symbols like this, that's it. And they don't even bother exploring. So there's a lot to be said about exploring. Helps you grow, it helps you expand and understand more. Okay, yeah. And my system is kind of going backwards from the tips of the nerves and into the head. And that, if you find that your system is doing that, it could be that your head is holding the most tension. So it's easier to let that go last. Okay. And just kind of exhale out all your breath now completely. Just squeeze your lungs, squeeze your torso, squeezing all that air out. And then automatically the air comes back in by itself. letting yourself relax. Focusing on maybe your spine, the outline of your body. For those of you who are doing ply with me, you could also do that centering breath, centering and merging breath. And you could actually do that for the whole meditation. Otherwise, you can just keep your awareness on your breath, noticing your breath, noticing the movement of your breath. And anytime you notice that your mind has pulled away from that, doesn't matter how often, give yourself a deep breath in just to reset, exhale, and then come back into the breathing. So I will let you do that on your own. So that's you direct your own self in this process. And here we go. So it'll be about 20 minutes or so. And then taking a moment to become more aware of your breath and the movement of your physical body. As you breathe, gently opening your eyes up with a soft gaze, soft look. Maybe even just allowing your eyes just stay a little bit more half closed, half open, half closed. Feel yourself breathing in your environment. And maybe doing a little movement, your head, your arms, and coming back to the more conscious and shared space. Before we get into sharing, take a moment now to bring to mind the question, the thought, and just see if there's, might not have an answer, but any sense of shifting in terms of how you're perceiving it, how you're engaged in it. And maybe, for example, not feeling so much tension around it, feeling like, well, you know, I'll get this figured out. It's fine. Whereas before you might have been like, "Oh, I want to know the answer," kind of feeling. So, and please do share in the chat what's come up with you around this little piece that we just did of, you know, having like a question or wondering about how wonder something or other before and after, and how that shifted for you. And you might not get an answer right now. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. That's okay. Either way is fine. Either way is good. If you don't get an answer, it's probably because you've got a strong mind, and so your spirit's going to slip that message, slip that little piece of paper with the message on it when your mind's not paying attention. So any shares on that piece? I'd love to hear your experience on that. If anybody's awake. So, well, we just let everybody pause on that. I wanted to bring up some insights on, Anna last week said something about, it's like, oh, I just think of you and you, it feels like you're working on me. You know, and that's a very sweet thing to say. It came to mind is there's at different levels that what she said is a representation of different, you know, let me rephrase that. At different levels, that will actually show up in different ways. So there's that first level of, you know, I just think of a person and I feel good, or feel like you're working on me. I feel good, that kind of level. So that's what we take that and take a look at what's happening with that. So at one level is that when you think of that, it actually takes you back to a time when you were with that person. Like maybe Anna, a time when you had a session and you could feel me working on you. So it takes you back to that time and you feel that again. So you're actually kind of recreating the experience for you because your spirit's been there, so your spirit knows, kind of thing. There's another level. Hold on, it's got to pop back into my mind now. Okay, that one's not popping in. There's 3 different ways that was showing up. The mind isn't going. And at the deepest level, what it really is that you are your spirit. At the deepest level of existence, you are all of existence within you. And what that really represents is that there's you, the human self, that's being worked on, you, the spirit, your spirit self. So it's you working on yourself. And it's represented to you as me. And one of the reasons for that is because you're not at the level, at the conscious level, the human level of recognizing who you are at that pure spirit level. And so the message comes through better in essence as represented through that someone else kind of thing. So seen as someone else. God, there was a third way that came up, kind of an in-between level. So it's not popping in mine. Maybe I'll pop in later. But so I thought that was really interesting when that came through after I got on the call last night with what Hannah had said. So very nice, very very beautiful statement. Very strong frequencies, Marianne. I would like to keep the space. Just I'm lazy to do the exercises. Yeah, you've got a lot that you're running around. So, part of that ties into your question earlier about why is it that I can't remember. So there's a part of you that feels safer with being at the level that you're at. And so there is that resistance to doing something that will take you a little bit, that will take you further. So one of the things to do with that is to just tell yourself, I'm only going to go as fast as feels comfortable, and let's just play with that. Let's just see what happens, kind of thing. To leave it more open and to leave yourself that sense of you're in control. You're the one who decides how fast you move and when you move fast. Kind of thing. I want to share, but it is so painful in my head and neck right now. Oh, you got a good one coming through. Yeah, that's up to you if you want to try to share or not. Yeah. So, but thanks for sharing that. Yeah, you've got a big resistance piece coming up there. We'll just call it resistance, but the head thing, identity filter. However, whatever label we want to attach to it, it all kind of comes down to the same thing, doesn't it? Yeah, that head and neck thing. Whew, that's fun shifting through stuff. Any other shares on that? On your experience there, like from Ilaria or from Diana? I'm gonna Sophia, if you're on still on the call, I'm gonna call on specific people here. See if you guys are gonna share your experience. And so coming back to what you said, Anna, I mean, it's nice. Good for you for taking the time to show up like today, and to come into that space. So at least you're doing that. So that's a start. But the laziness, I wouldn't call it so much laziness as just this kind of fear of moving forward, fear of really becoming more of yourself, because it's kind of, you could say it in a different way. It's kind of the fear of growing up. You've gotten into a very comfortable place that is, in a certain part of you, has been in that comfortable place, and doesn't wanna move out of that. So one way you can look at that is like, okay, there's just this little resistance to growing up. Still not feeling or sensing anything. Okay, I'm gonna challenge you on that one by having you ask yourself, and if it doesn't come out right now, Diana, that's fine. Maybe next time you do meditation and you feel, I'm not feeling anything, okay? Instead of so you're gonna find yourself saying that. So ask yourself, what is it that I am noticing? Okay, maybe step away from the words feeling or sensing, and just what is it that I am noticing? And if you're noticing blank, start by saying, well, I'm noticing or nothing. I'm noticing nothing. Then the next question would be, what does that nothing feel like? And just kind of play with that. Just throw out words, just throw out adjectives out there to describe it. Doesn't matter, but that will get you going. It's like, well, does it feel soft? Does it feel hard? Does it feel expansive? Does it feel narrow? So you can do that. So stepping away from those words, feeling and sensing, because you could be getting information a different way. And what is it that I am noticing? I'm noticing blank. Well, how would I describe that blank to Marianne if she was if I was talking to her? The frequencies were very strong, like a vortex, especially at the beginning after I got diverted. Perhaps too strong to integrate or resist them. Um, I'm not sure where the diverted part comes in. If you're writing it sequentially or not, so I'm just double checking on that. Um, so part of a part if you're writing that sequentially in terms of how it happened, part of that is, um, yeah, the mind will pull away. So diverting, that's a mental thing. That's kind of a pain body mental thing. Uh, because it's like it can need a break. It's like, okay, let me step back because got to catch my breath. Sometimes, I find I will get diverted away from like what I'm tapping into because I'm overly focused. And so the process is happening and I've got to get diverted by something else. And when I tune back in, then it's like I can see the process has unfolded. So that's not diverted. Get diverted, not necessarily a bad thing because there's a judgment around that because you got to stay focused right on that the whole time. I got diverted during the meditation, and that's okay. Your spirit, it's like your human self that gets diverted, and your spirit self is carrying forward. I feel like I'm with you, Anna, on the resistance piece, the growing up piece. Yeah, we all kind of hit those places. So yeah, so growing up is one way to look at it. Michelle, I keep having to bring my attention back to my breath. My mind keeps coming up with random memories and things. Okay, that's fine too. And the memories could be, it could be part of that release. So it comes to mind, and it's passing through. It's got to come through your system. Your system. Let me start that phrase over again. It's coming through your system, and part of your system is your thoughts, your nervous system, your breath, your physical sensations, your hearing, your visual, so all of that. So it's going to come through all of that. So um, some of what happens with that, with the random memories and things coming up, it's like, oh, it's literally like this little chunk of frequency of energies that got dislodged and that are floating out, and it's registering in your system as a memory or whatever. So when you notice that's okay. Come right back to your breath. And sometimes I find often that it's very helpful when that happens to me to just take a deep breath to kind of reset, exhale out, and then come back into the breathing. So that just helps to reset the system instead of like, oh, there's a thought and then coming back to the breathing directly kind of thing. I felt you working your frequencies. That's why I got on. Felt you working your frequencies. That's why I got on time. You mean for this call, got on time for this call, that you made it this call? I was calling you. Anna, Anna, it's time. Yeah, and so, some of us are more sensitive. Anna, for example, is an example of somebody who's highly aware, tuned in, aware. I'll just say aware of that non-physical level. Diana, you have a little bit. You're you're quieter at that level, and that's okay. That's part of that is just things that we have to work through to get that clarity, and some of that also is practicing, taking the time to practice even on your own. It's like, well, how does that feel to me? There's a lot of exercises you can do just to help loosen up around what's coming through, kind of thing. Um, Yeah, good comments on everybody on this. So this is I like this. I think this is a good exercise to do together because then that helps you. Ooh, you got a big long thing here, Sophia. Hold on a second. Um, so just to give you that practice space and that feedback, I find that invaluable, um, for growing and for learning and for understanding more deeply instead of just like throwing you out there. I've asked the question as main one. What is the right side hip sacrum that has to go for me to become my limitless even more? Nice question. I'm ready to release, let go completely whatever is related to this pain, tension, blockage so that I can even be even more my best possible self. I feel it's something related to back, neck. Yeah, everything in your body's connected, but yes, lower hips are connected up, back up more directly. Right side, that point in the base, as well as midsection spine. Well, your whole spine is connected, so you have one thing that's out. So I'm not surprised. Part of the thing there with all those areas in the spine, you're talking about three different areas. Is what is the key area? Um, is one question. Most definitely has been. Whoops. Are you fully detached and on outer layers and it's coming to the surface and going, I'm still observing very clearly, see what is about, as well as allow myself to not know either. I can also let go and don't have to know and analyze, just let go and move on. Yeah, very, very nice. And then I feel I have incredible, centered, strong, limitless power. I'm working on all levels to evolve. Absolutely. Um, Absolutely, Sophia, that's very nice comment. And sometimes also the piece that came up, especially the first half there as I was reading, is to sometimes we have to let go of pushing against releasing, like release, 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 release. And instead of going release, 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 is just to go into the pain. Since you're talking about pain, go into that area. What is that? And just fully immerse yourself in it. So instead of, so it's like, because when we do release, 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 we're like trying to push something away from us. And so instead of trying to move away, I mean, it's still pushing it away, even if it's a moving away movement, is to just go and merge with it, go into it also. And then you might sit with one area to see, or sit with your whole seat and see where your whole thing is. But you're doing good. That's very nice to that's a very nice comment describing the process, and just being aware and just noticing and allowing yourself to be there, even though it's painful. And Anna says, "Cool, thanks, Martin. Saint Martin. That looks like the way you spell that. That's like the Dutch spelling for it. It reminds me of Saint Martin, which is one of the Caribbean islands, and that's the Dutch spelling. So funny how we've got these associations. You know, that's part of the filters that we have, is we have associations in our minds to other things, of a color, a thought, everything has an association to something. So how do we really come more into the present moment? The more we become aware of our reaction, and reaction can be real subtle, like just a little light up kind of thing, then we become more aware of those associations. Then we can just kind of watch that reaction, sit back, let it shift through, and then we can be in that clear place relative to what presents in front of us, instead of relative to that association, because that association is always in the past, and it's always connected to something else than what's present, kind of thing. So very nice. And coming back to Sophia's second thing here, I feel I have an incredibly centered, strong, limitless power. Yes, we all do. That you go deep enough to who you really are, to that core, that pure self. That's what it is. How deeply we can connect to that will depend on how much we clear what is our level of, people will call that enlightenment, but evolution. What your life path is about. Is it about really just going full on with that or not? But it's there. It has a lot to do with clearing memories on levels, all memories. Yeah, that's one way to identify, to label it as memories. In some ways, it is memories. It's, for me, I call it like imprints of everything that my spirit has ever experienced, ever. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff, and some of us have to go through a lot more of that than others. Some of us have to go through a lot deeper clearing of those imprints. I'm calling them imprints, but memories, why not? Yeah. Of those experiences. And some of us have to go through much less of that. We don't have to clear out so much. And a lot of that has to do with the life path that we have, what we are here to do, what we're bringing through, what we're moving into, kind of thing. So very nice comments there. Yeah, and Sophia, I'm going to say you feel a bit more solid with yourself than you did when you showed up. Was it November? I think it was in November. I can't remember, November, December, for the first time you showed up in Ply. You have increased in solidness. So good for you. Good for you on that one. As well as everybody else. I think everybody else knows that I've already, before, have given them feedback and stuff. You're kind of the newer one in the bunch here. So good for you. And good for you for you're still showing up. A lot of people show up for working with me. That's been always true from the time I started. And if the person just wants somebody else to take care of it for them or make them feel good, not a good match with me. I will help them, I will support them, and in the process, make them also work for themselves. And work and also point to things that they don't necessarily want to see. But in you working for yourself, then you become stronger. Then stepping away from a session with me or whatever with me, you're more likely to be able to do it on your own and move forward. That's more important. Um, that's the most important thing I can give you is that piece, really. And sometimes it involves me doing it for you, and sometimes it's about you getting that guidance from me uh, to stand more on your own. So the more you can stand on your own, the better. Um, for me, it's about taking you all the way, not just halfway, kind of thing. So very nice. Okay, well, that was a nice session. Kind of very, very different, but I think it was a good session nonetheless. March Pure Life Infusions is starting on March 7th. Just putting a little announcement out there. So we're really going to focus on nourishing that connection between spirit and human that each of us is, and really, really strengthen that. Thank you, Diana, for showing up. I appreciate that. So um, the thanks goes both ways, which is nice. So that's starting March 7th. I know there was another thing that came up. If people notice that, we'll talk in the Ply Masterclass. So it's the Ply is Pure Life Infusion is starting to be a little bit of a masterclass, more style. So on Monday, next Monday, we'll get into that more detail. But one thing that I didn't bring up, it would have been easier, would have been better to bring it up right after we got out of the meditation. But there was a development, a process of developing, of growing, of hitting a peak, and then slowing down in the way it unfolded. So if you notice that, great. If and we'll talk about that on Apply because it's what we're focusing on this month. So Ilaria, thank you, Marianne. Always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you up, and real nice to have you show up too. I appreciate that as well. So, anyways, have a good rest of the day. We have a beautiful weather today, so I'm going to go out and take a walk and enjoy the 66-degree weather out there. So, anyways, and I couldn't do it outside because my friend was out there with we've got a little temporarily adopted doggy upstairs. She's walking out in the backyard. So that's why I didn't go outside, but I was thinking about it. All right. So thanks everybody for showing up, and we'll see you next week here Monday if you're in the Pure Life Infusions Masterclass, and somewhere else in the ethers otherwise. So thanks for joining.